It's constant, it's inescapable, it's hard to get away from.
You know, your general whistles, cat calls, tss, tss, hey, you know, that kind of stuff.
I've been harassed by white men and black men and Latino men and Asian men.
We have right to walk on the street peacefully without being disturbed.
It absolutely speaks to a power dynamic that is askew in this society.
I want a diamond ring, I want some bracelets and everything.
Catcalling is an all-American pastime.
Hey, it's my sweetheart. You're looking good, baby. Good enough to eat.
I remember songs from the 50s and 60s that I've seen archived, you know, standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by.
The girl can't help it. The girl can't help it. She was born.
Street harassment is about ownership. It's about the idea that women's bodies and very presence in public space is not for us. Because what are we there for, if not to shake that ass, baby?
Shake it, honey! Yeah!
And I often think men aren't aware of how different it is for women to walk down the streets.
Hi, gorgeous. How you doing, sweetie? Hey, what's that?
I know the way I dress is kind of provocative, but it doesn't mean that I should have to deal with it.
Do I think women should be judged or harassed based on what they wear? Absolutely not. To me, that's a slippery slope that leads to the argument that girls who wear short skirts are asking for it.
I really admire the women that respond back on the street.
Go to hell.
I think it's a taking back of the power in the moment.
I wish more girls would come out of their shell and just tell somebody to shut the fuck up. Just do it. You'll feel way better.
Street harassment is almost like a gateway drug to other more serious forms of violence. The idea that women don't control their own bodies on the street is so connected to the culture that allows women to be sexually assaulted.
I've lived in Washington, D.C. now for 10 years, and I've been assaulted 3 times. My name is Jennifer Corey. In 2009, I was crowned Miss District of Columbia. I went on to compete in the Miss America pageant in Las Vegas, finishing in the top 10. My platform became street harassment to fight against sexual harassment of women in public places. Really just trying to make the streets of Washington, D.C. safer. I was assaulted last year on the Metro coming back from work. I got on the Metro, and just as the doors were closing, a man came up behind me and shoved me into the car. And the doors closed behind him, so now I was stuck in the car, couldn't move, I couldn't really turn, I couldn't see anybody. And slowly I started to feel something touching me from behind. I could still feel the pressure more and more building into pushing into behind me. And I knew what it was. I just didn't want to admit I knew what it was. And at one point, I just started to panic, and I turned my body a little bit, and I could see that he had his hand in his pants. And I couldn't get that image out of my head, and I just started to dart my eyes around, looking, like, silently screaming for anybody to help me. So when we got to the Pentagon stop, the doors opened, and I jumped out of the car, and he followed me out. And I just stood there frozen, and we locked eyes, and he just kept walking and just gave me this deep, terrifying stare that chilled me all the way to my bone. And he went up the escalator, and I jumped back on the Metro before the doors closed. And I just immediately started crying. All I was thinking was, like, I should have known what to do. This is what I do. This is what I advocate for. This is what I tell women all the time about what to do in these situations, and I had no idea what to do. Just because you live in a big city and you're riding public transportation doesn't mean that it's okay for somebody to touch you. It's not just part of living in a city. It's wrong and it's illegal.
This guy just straight up grabbed my ass.
He pushes me against the wall and he grabs my breast.
The next thing I know, I feel a hand up my skirt.
I pushed him away. I said, "What the hell do you think you're doing?"
I pushed him away from me with all my force.
And he looks at me, he stares at me in the eye with this smirk.
And he looked at me and he smirked at me.
And he just sort of smiled smugly and walked away.
And I think that most women who've been assaulted know this look, which is the I'm getting off on you being uncomfortable.
Basically like, I just did that to you and I can, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Since this incident happened on the Metro, I honestly have not taken the Metro to that station. I find myself getting a lot more anxious on the Metro, being much more aware of my surroundings, and it's almost sad that I feel that burden, that the burden's on me to protect myself. It's just very unfortunate that me and so many other women have to go through their lives like that every single day.